Ladies and gentlemen, when I was young, I thought success was about doing everything at once. I tried to learn many things, chase many dreams, all at the same time. And I failed. Then I discovered something powerful. Focus is stronger than effort. Just 1 hour a day, not 10, not 8. 1 hour of pure, undisturbed focus. 1 hour where the phone is off. No noise. No excuses. Only you and your dream. It doesn't sound like much. But let me tell you, one focused hour every day can change your entire life. Because that 1 hour becomes your teacher. It trains your discipline. It sharpens your mind. It gives you quiet space to grow while the world is busy being distracted. Most people lose hours scrolling, complaining, comparing. The focused ones invest 1 hour daily building something, and while everyone is standing still, they quietly move forward. 1 hour will not change you today. It might not change you this week. But do it for a year, and you will look back and say, I don't recognize who I used to be. So protect that 1 hour. Make it sacred. Make it non-negotiable. Because the future does not belong to the busiest. It belongs to the most focused. In a world that glorifies massive leaps, overnight success stories, and viral achievements, it's easy to forget the quiet truth that transformation doesn't come from explosive effort. It comes from steady, focused consistency. The power of small daily focus is invisible at first, almost too subtle to notice, but it is the force that quietly reshapes your life while the rest of the world is distracted. When you dedicate even a single focused hour every day towards something meaningful, you plant the seed of transformation. At first, it seems insignificant. What difference could just 1 hour possibly make in a world where others are working 10 or 12 hours a day? But this is where most people misunderstand progress. Real growth does not come from how many hours you work once. It comes from how many days you return to it without fail. Small daily focus builds momentum, and momentum builds empires. Every day you show up for that 1 hour. You strengthen the habit of showing up. That habit is more valuable than talent, more dependable than luck, and more powerful than motivation. Talent fades without discipline. Luck arrives unpredictably and leaves without warning. Motivation is a visitor, but habit is a resident. That 1 hour becomes proof to your mind that you are capable of consistency, and this belief is what fuels greater effort in the future. Small daily focus also creates compound results, much like interest in a bank account. On day 1, your growth is invisible. After a week, you see small progress. After a month, you start noticing change. After a year, that 1 hour a day becomes over 350 hours of pure concentrated effort, and 350 hours of anything will transform you. It will give you skills others don't have, clarity others can't see, and resilience others won't understand. This is why small daily focus often beats big bursts of effort. Most people work hard in short sprints, burn out, and stop. They chase perfection for a few days, then disappear for weeks. But 1 hour a day is sustainable. It doesn't drain you, it builds you. It fits into any schedule. And because it is small, it is easy to protect from excuses. Even when life gets messy, 1 hour can survive, and that survival ensures progress continues. Moreover, daily focus rewires your mind to see the world differently. When you spend 1 hour a day deeply immersed in something, your brain begins connecting new ideas while you are not even working. Problems you couldn't solve yesterday suddenly seem clear. Opportunities you once overlooked now stand out. This happens because focus trains the mind to filter noise and recognize patterns. Each day, the fog lifts a little more, and you begin to see how far you can go. That 1 hour also carries psychological power. It gives you a daily win. When you finish it, you feel a sense of pride and control. While the rest of the day may be chaotic, you know that for 1 hour you were aligned with your purpose. That emotional reinforcement builds confidence, and confidence fuels more action. Soon, other parts of your life begin improving because of the energy and belief created during that single focused hour. This is the hidden magic of small daily focus. It is quiet, invisible, and easily dismissed, yet it quietly builds strength beneath the surface. Each focused hour is like a single drop of water carving through stone. One drop does nothing, but thousands shape the landscape. Many people believe success comes from sudden bursts of massive effort, dramatic late nights, and all or nothing pushes. They imagine transformation happens in explosions like lightning strikes, but real change rarely works that way. Growth is not built on how intensely you work in one moment. It is built on how consistently you return to the work every single day. Intensity creates sparks, but consistency builds the fire. Intensity often feels exciting at the start. It gives the illusion of fast progress, and in the beginning, it might even produce visible results. But that same intensity is also exhausting, and exhaustion does not last. When people try to do too much too fast, they burn through their energy, their willpower, and their motivation. They crash, they stop, and when they stop, all that effort fades. What remains is nothing but fatigue and regret. Consistency, on the other hand, is slower, quieter, and often underestimated. It does not give the thrill of fast achievement, but it endures. It builds routines that become automatic, and those routines carry you forward long after motivation disappears. When you show up consistently, you don't depend on feeling inspired because habit takes over. You work when it's easy and you work when it's hard. That steady rhythm compounds over time, stacking effort upon effort until the results become undeniable. This is why consistency beats intensity. Intensity requires perfect conditions, the right mood, the right energy, the right timing. Consistency requires only a decision to show up even imperfectly. Over a year, the person who works 1 hour every single day will outperform the person who works 12 hours a day for only a few days before stopping, because the daily effort keeps building while the intense effort collapses after the first burst. Consistency also protects your mind. Intense effort triggers pressure, fear of failure, and self-criticism. People working with intensity often measure every tiny result, and when progress seems slow, they give up. Consistency teaches patience. It shifts focus from instant results to long-term growth. You stop asking, "Did this work today?" and start asking, "Did I show up today?" That question is gentler, but it is powerful because showing up daily guarantees progress even when you can't see it yet. With consistency, each day becomes lighter. At first, the effort feels heavy, but repetition makes it easier. The work that once required discipline begins to happen almost automatically, like brushing your teeth. This mental shift frees energy. Instead of wasting effort fighting resistance, you can use that energy to improve. Small, consistent actions build skill, and as skill grows, confidence grows. Confidence then fuels more consistency, creating a cycle of growth that becomes self-sustaining. Consistency also builds trust with yourself and with others. When you keep showing up, you prove to yourself that you can be relied upon. That reliability becomes identity. You stop saying, "I hope I can," and start saying, "This is who I am." Others notice this too. People trust consistent individuals because they are predictable, stable, and dependable. That trust opens doors that intensity alone can never open, because trust is built through time, not effort. Most importantly, consistency compounds. Every small effort stacks on top of the previous one, creating momentum. Intense effort often resets after every burst, but consistent effort carries forward like a snowball gathering size as it rolls. What looks like slow progress at first suddenly becomes rapid acceleration because small improvements accumulate silently until they explode into visible results. This is the hidden strength of consistency. It builds quietly until it becomes unstoppable. Discipline is often seen as a force you must push from the outside, something you command yourself to have through willpower and strict rules. But true discipline does not start with punishment or force. It begins with focus. When your attention is scattered, your actions become scattered, and discipline feels impossible. When your mind learns to stay centered on one thing, discipline grows naturally as a byproduct of that attention. Focus teaches the mind to resist temptation. Every moment you choose to stay with one task, you are practicing self-control. The mind wants novelty. It wants to jump between ideas, messages, and distractions. Every time you refuse that impulse and bring your mind back to the work in front of you, you are strengthening your ability to direct yourself. That act of returning builds the mental muscle of discipline far more effectively than forcing yourself to work through sheer willpower. This is why focus is often the foundation of disciplined people. They are not superhuman. They simply know how to quiet the noise around them long enough to follow through. When you remove distractions, you remove the friction that breaks discipline. Focus creates a clear environment where only one path exists in the moment, and when there is only one path, the mind learns to walk it without argument. Focusing on one task also changes your relationship with effort. When your attention is split, work feels heavier because you are constantly switching between tasks and resetting your energy. This makes the brain tired, and fatigue leads to quitting. But deep focus creates flow. Time disappears and effort feels lighter. This positive experience reinforces the behavior, and soon you begin to crave focused sessions because they feel rewarding. That craving pulls you back to the work, and returning consistently is the essence of discipline. Focus builds discipline by creating small wins. When you stay fully present for even 1 hour, you experience what it feels like to finish something with clarity. That sense of completion builds confidence, and confidence feeds discipline. It tells the mind, I can do this again. The more you experience those small victories, the more naturally you choose focus over distraction. Over time, the choice no longer feels forced. It becomes your default mode of operating. Discipline thrives in simplicity, and focus creates simplicity. Instead of worrying about everything at once, you give your energy to one thing at a time. This trains the mind to see work not as an overwhelming mountain, but as a series of small, clear steps. Each focus session becomes proof that progress is possible. That proof weakens procrastination because you begin to trust that small effort leads to real movement. Discipline becomes less about battling resistance and more about simply continuing what you already know works. Focus also builds discipline by teaching patience. When you work on one task with full attention, you see that results do not appear instantly. You learn to stay even when nothing seems to be happening. This endurance is a critical part of discipline. People who chase constant stimulation quit when results are slow, but focused people keep going because they have learned to value the process over the immediate reward. They understand that discipline means staying present, not rushing ahead. Each focus session strengthens mental boundaries. It tells your mind, during this time, nothing else exists. That mental boundary carries into other areas of life, helping you resist distractions, delay gratification, and follow through on commitments. Discipline is not about force. It is about training your mind to listen to your direction, and focus is the tool that gives you that control. Time is the most valuable currency you will ever own, and yet it is also the currency people spend the most carelessly. Most days are filled with interruptions, noise, and obligations that feel urgent but create nothing meaningful. That is why if you want transformation, you must choose 1 hour each day and protect it like gold. That hour is your private space to build your future, and if you do not guard it, the world will steal it. Protecting 1 hour begins with understanding its worth. One focused hour every day equals more than 350 hours in a year, which is nearly 9 full work weeks of concentrated effort. That amount of time is enough to master a skill, build a business idea, or reshape your health and mindset. But this power only exists if the hour remains untouched. If it is constantly interrupted or postponed, it loses its strength. Guarding that hour means treating it as non-negotiable, as if it were an appointment with your future self that cannot be canceled. This requires setting clear boundaries. You cannot protect your hour casually. You must protect it deliberately. That means choosing a time when distractions are lowest, turning off notifications, silencing your phone, closing doors, and letting people around you know that during this hour you are unavailable. If you leave this hour open to interruption, others will naturally fill it with their priorities instead of yours. Protecting it sends a message to others and to yourself that your growth matters. When you protect an hour, you are not just defending time, you are defending mental space. Most people live in constant noise. Even when they have free time, their mind is scattered, jumping from thought to thought. True focus requires a clear, quiet mental environment, and that only comes from creating a protected zone where nothing else is allowed in. During that hour, your mind begins to settle. It stops reacting to the outside world and starts listening to your inner voice. That inner voice is where creativity, clarity, and vision are born. Protecting your hour also builds self-respect. Each day you keep that promise to yourself, you prove that your future is worth prioritizing. This builds confidence because it shows you can trust yourself to follow through. Most people break promises to themselves easily while keeping promises to everyone else. Flipping that pattern is powerful. When you keep your hour sacred, you teach your mind that your dreams are not optional. That belief becomes the foundation of unstoppable growth. This hour should be designed as a distraction-free zone. No multitasking, no checking messages, no splitting attention. One goal, one task, one deep focus. Even short interruptions can destroy the quality of that hour because focus requires time to build and can be broken instantly. Protecting your hour means eliminating anything that pulls you out of deep concentration. You prepare for it like a ritual, the same location, the same tools, the same mindset each day. This routine signals to your brain that it is time to focus, which helps you enter deep work faster. As you protect this hour, you will notice people trying to pull it away from you. Emergencies, social invitations, sudden requests, and small distractions will always appear. Most of them are not truly urgent, they only feel urgent in the moment. You must learn to say no. This is difficult at first because protecting your hour can make others uncomfortable, but with time they will respect your boundaries. More importantly, you will respect them. Every time you say no to the world during that hour, you are saying yes to your future, and that decision builds strength inside you. Focus is not only about what you choose to do, it is also about what you choose not to do. Even the strongest mind struggles to stay on course when surrounded by noise. Distractions are silent thieves that steal your time in small fragments until entire days disappear without anything meaningful being accomplished. If you want to create deep work, you must eliminate distractions deliberately, not occasionally, because willpower alone cannot survive in a cluttered environment. Distractions work by fragmenting attention. Every time you shift your focus, even for a second, your brain has to restart the process of concentration. This mental reset drains energy, slows thinking, and makes tasks take far longer than they should. Many people believe they are multitasking, but in reality, they are rapidly switching between tasks and losing efficiency with every switch. When distractions are present, even a simple task becomes heavy. When they are removed, work becomes lighter, faster, and more enjoyable. Eliminating distractions begins with controlling your environment. The physical space you work in shapes the quality of your focus. A cluttered desk creates a cluttered mind. Visual chaos pulls your attention without you realizing it. Creating a clean, minimal workspace sends a clear signal to your brain, this is a place for focus, not noise. Silence is also part of this environment. Background noise, conversations, and constant movement make the mind restless. Even if you think you are used to it, your brain is still spending energy filtering it out. Choosing a quiet, controlled space is not a luxury, it is a requirement. If you want deep concentration, digital distractions are often even more destructive because they are designed to capture your attention. Notifications, social media, and constant messages are engineered to interrupt your thoughts. To eliminate them, you must build barriers between your mind and the digital noise. This means turning off notifications completely, using website blockers during focus hours, and placing your phone out of reach or in another room. Even seeing your phone nearby can trigger mental tension because the mind knows distraction is one glance away. Creating distance removes temptation and frees your attention for the work that matters. Internal distractions are just as powerful as external ones. Thoughts, worries, and mental chatter can pull you away from the present moment. To eliminate these, you must train your mind through simple rituals. Before starting your focused work, take a few minutes to breathe deeply, write down everything on your mind, and clear your head. This acts like closing open tabs in your brain. The more you practice this mental reset, the easier it becomes to stay fully present during your work. Another method to eliminate distractions is time blocking. If your mind knows it only has to stay focused for a defined period, it becomes easier to resist wandering. Short, intense sessions with full focus are far more effective than long, scattered hours. Set a timer, choose one task, and give yourself permission to ignore everything else until the session ends. This creates a psychological boundary that protects your attention from being pulled in different directions. Social distractions also need boundaries. People often interrupt because they see your time as available. You must teach them it is not. This means communicating clearly that during your focus hours, you are not to be disturbed. It can feel uncomfortable at first to set these boundaries, but if you don't protect your time, no one else will. As others begin to respect your focused hours, the interruptions decrease, and your mind can dive deeper into its work without fear of being pulled away. Eliminating distractions is not about isolating yourself from the world forever. It is about creating intentional pockets of silence inside the noise. Those protected pockets are where breakthroughs are born, where your best thinking emerges, and where your real progress begins to accelerate. Ambition often makes people aim for massive changes instantly, but greatness is almost never built in sudden leaps. It grows from small, consistent actions aligned with a clear vision of the future. When you start small, you remove the fear that paralyzes action. When you think long-term, you give meaning to every small step. Combining these two mindsets creates a powerful approach to growth. You move forward without being overwhelmed, yet you keep your eyes fixed on where you want to go. Starting small matters because the mind resists big leaps. Huge goals feel exciting, but they also feel impossible. They create pressure that makes procrastination easier than action. Small steps bypass this resistance. They are simple enough to begin, and beginning is what builds momentum. Even 10 minutes of effort today is more powerful than hours of planning for a perfect moment that never comes. Small beginnings break the cycle of hesitation, and once you are moving, progress becomes easier to sustain. Thinking long-term ensures those small steps are not random. Many people work hard in short bursts without direction, and their effort scatters like sparks in the wind. A long-term vision acts as the compass that aligns every small action. When you know where you want to be in 5 or 10 years, each small daily choice gains weight. You stop asking, does this make me feel productive today? And start asking, does this move me closer to the future I want? This shift gives purpose to your effort, which fuels persistence. Starting small also protects your energy. Big efforts burn quickly and leave exhaustion behind. Small efforts build endurance. They fit naturally into your daily life without draining your strength or overwhelming your schedule. Because they are sustainable, they continue, and continuation is where growth happens. Each day you complete a small task, your brain receives a sense of achievement. That reward strengthens your commitment and slowly reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying and start seeing yourself as someone becoming. When you combine small actions with long-term thinking, you create compound growth. At first, the changes are invisible. 1 hour of learning, 1 page of writing, 1 short workout seem too minor to matter, but every small piece builds on the last like bricks in a wall. After weeks, you see patterns. After months, you see progress. After years, you see transformation. This compounding effect is only visible to those who keep going long enough to let time multiply their effort. Starting small also creates resilience. Because the steps are small, failure carries little weight. You can stumble without collapsing. Each mistake becomes feedback instead of a disaster. This mindset keeps you moving, and movement is what builds mastery. Thinking long-term supports this resilience because it reminds you that temporary setbacks mean nothing in the scale of years. They are just pebbles on a long road, not walls blocking the path. Small beginnings encourage focus. Large goals tempt people to do too much at once, scattering their energy across many directions. Small steps force you to choose one thing, which sharpens concentration. This concentrated effort produces higher quality work, and quality work accelerates results. Long-term thinking adds patience to this focus. It teaches you to value depth over speed, to build something strong instead of something quick. This balance of focus and patience is what allows small actions to grow into lasting change. Starting small while thinking long-term also shapes how others see you. People may overlook small progress at first, but they notice consistency over time. They begin to trust your commitment because they see you showing up again and again. That trust opens opportunities, and those opportunities multiply when combined with the skill and knowledge you have been quietly building through your small daily efforts. An hour of focused time each day holds immense power. But that power becomes truly transformative when it is directed toward building one specific skill. Many people scatter their efforts across multiple interests, switching goals each week and wondering why nothing changes. Progress disappears when energy is divided. Skill mastery demands concentration, and concentration demands that you choose one thing and give it your full attention. When you dedicate your daily hour to a single skill, you create a clear path for your mind. Instead of wasting energy deciding what to work on, you simply show up and continue where you left off. This eliminates decision fatigue and builds momentum. Every session becomes a small layer added to the foundation of your ability. While others start and stop dozens of projects, you are quietly stacking hours on one skill until it becomes part of you. Focusing on one skill also accelerates the learning curve. Skills grow through deep practice, not shallow repetition. When your attention is fully locked on one area, your brain enters a state of intense engagement. In this state, neural connections form faster, mistakes are noticed and corrected quickly, and your progress compounds. Jumping between multiple skills never allows this deep state to form because the mind stays at the surface. Depth only comes from immersion, and immersion requires singular focus. Committing to one skill also simplifies your growth. Many people overwhelm themselves with long to-do lists, thinking they must improve in every area at once. This creates stress and dilutes effort. Choosing one skill removes that chaos. It gives you a single target, which clarifies your path. Each hour you spend becomes purposeful because you know exactly what it is building toward. That sense of direction reduces resistance and makes it easier to return every day, which is the key to long-term mastery. Using your hour for one skill also creates visible progress faster, and visible progress fuels motivation. In the beginning, growth is slow, and it is easy to feel stuck. But when you focus on one skill, even small improvements stand out. You can measure them. You can see where you were last week and where you are today. This visible growth strengthens belief in your ability, and that belief is what keeps you coming back to the work even on hard days. This approach also teaches discipline. Focusing on one skill requires saying no to distractions disguised as opportunities. It forces you to prioritize depth over novelty. While others chase every new trend, you are choosing to build something solid. That discipline sharpens your character as much as it sharpens your skill. It teaches patience because mastery is slow. It teaches humility because improvement exposes weaknesses. And it teaches perseverance because growth continues only when you refuse to quit. Another powerful effect of focusing your hour on one skill is the compounding of knowledge. Each session builds directly on what you learned before. Early struggles turn into understanding, understanding turns into fluency, and fluency turns into mastery. Because all your practice is connected, each new layer strengthens the entire structure. This creates exponential growth over time. After months of consistent focus, the gap between you and those who dabble becomes enormous, not because you worked more hours, but because you worked aligned hours. Using the hour to build one skill also creates long-term leverage. Skills are assets that open doors. When you master one, it increases your value, expands your opportunities, and gives you confidence that you can master more in the future. People who can do many things at an average level fade into the background, but people who are exceptional at one thing stand out immediately. Mastery attracts attention, and attention creates possibilities that scattered effort can never reach. Clarity is the ability to see what truly matters, to understand the next step, and to cut through the noise that clouds the mind. Most people struggle not because they lack talent or effort, but because they lack clarity. Their attention is scattered across countless tasks, ideas, and distractions, leaving them overwhelmed and unsure of what actually moves them forward. Focus is the tool that clears this fog, and when you focus deeply on one thing, clarity begins to emerge naturally. Focus forces the mind to choose. When you direct your attention toward a single task, you eliminate competing options. This act of narrowing creates mental order. The brain is not built to process multiple priorities with equal weight. It thrives when it knows what matters now. By focusing, you stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "How can I do this one thing better?" That question sharpens thinking. It removes noise and places your full energy on the core action that drives progress. Clarity comes from depth, and depth only comes from focus. When you give something your full attention for an extended period, you begin to see the hidden layers beneath it. You notice details that were invisible in shallow, distracted work. You see patterns, connections, and causes that once felt random. This deeper understanding allows you to make better decisions because you are no longer guessing, you are seeing. Without focus, you stay at the surface, and the surface is where confusion thrives. Focus also creates clarity by silencing mental clutter. The mind constantly collects unfinished tasks, open questions, and scattered thoughts. These fragments compete for attention, making everything feel heavier than it really is. When you focus on one thing, your mind gradually releases the others. It stops holding them all at once. This mental unloading creates space, and in that space, clear thinking returns. What once felt chaotic begins to feel simple, not because the world changed, but because your attention stopped trying to hold it all at once. Clarity strengthens with repetition, and focus creates that repetition. Each time you return to the same area of work, you build more understanding. The first time you attempt something, everything seems complicated. The second time, you recognize familiar parts. The third time, patterns appear. Over many focus sessions, confusion fades and structure appears. What was once a tangled web becomes a clear map, and that map allows you to move faster and with more confidence. Focused work also clarifies priorities. When you are distracted, everything seems urgent, and urgency creates stress. Focus pulls you out of that storm. As you dive deeply into one task, you start to see which parts create real results and which parts are just noise. You begin to separate essential actions from unnecessary ones. This ability to distinguish between what is important and what is merely loud is the foundation of productivity, and it only develops when you give full attention to something long enough to see its true value. Focus brings emotional clarity as well. Distraction keeps the mind in constant reaction, jumping from one stimulus to another without understanding how it feels. Focus slows the mind down. It gives you space to notice your emotions instead of being swept by them. You start to see which fears are real and which are imagined, which desires are meaningful and which are temporary impulses. This emotional clarity helps you make decisions that align with your deeper values instead of reacting to temporary moods. When clarity grows through focus, confidence follows. Uncertainty drains energy because it forces the mind to question every move. Clarity removes that friction. You know what matters, you know where to go, and you stop scattering energy in every direction. Each focus session cuts away confusion like a blade, leaving behind a clear path that was always there, hidden beneath the noise. An hour of deep focus each day might seem small, but its influence stretches far beyond the 60 minutes you spend. That one focused hour becomes the anchor that grounds your entire day, and its energy spills over into the other 23 hours in ways that are often invisible but incredibly powerful. When you begin your day by dedicating yourself fully to a meaningful task, you set a tone of purpose and discipline that carries through everything else you do. This focused hour creates a psychological shift. Instead of starting your day in chaos, reacting to messages and distractions, you begin it in control, choosing what matters most. That choice builds momentum. It reminds your mind that you are not simply drifting through life. You are building something. Once you experience the satisfaction of fully immersing yourself in one task, your brain naturally seeks to protect that feeling. This makes you less likely to waste time and more likely to use the rest of your day intentionally. One focused hour also builds self-trust, and that trust influences how you behave throughout the day. When you keep the promise to give full attention to one task, you prove to yourself that you can be disciplined. That proof strengthens your identity as someone who follows through. It's no longer just a hope. It becomes part of how you see yourself. This identity shift is powerful because your actions always follow your identity. If you see yourself as focused and reliable, you begin to act that way even outside the focused hour, and this changes how you approach every other activity. There is also a biological effect. Deep focus puts your brain into a state of flow where time feels faster and your mind operates at its best. In this state, the brain releases dopamine, which creates a sense of achievement and motivation. This dopamine boost doesn't disappear when the hour ends. It lingers, fueling energy, sharpening attention, and improving your mood for hours afterward. Instead of dragging yourself through the rest of the day, you carry the momentum and confidence from that one focused session into every interaction and decision. This single hour becomes a reference point that influences your standards. When you experience how productive and fulfilling focused work can be, shallow and distracted work starts to feel unsatisfying. You begin to notice how often you drift into unimportant tasks, and you start rejecting them. That awareness changes how you use the rest of your time. You naturally begin organizing your schedule around what matters, cutting out activities that do not serve your growth, and protecting your mental energy more carefully. 1 hour of focus also creates mental clarity, and that clarity improves everything else you do. After spending time immersed in meaningful work, you return to other responsibilities with a clearer mind. Problems seem less overwhelming, decisions become easier, and tasks that once felt heavy seem lighter because your mind is no longer tangled in confusion. That clarity makes the rest of the day run smoother, not because the workload changed, but because your state of mind did. This focused hour generates emotional stability as well. Distraction breeds anxiety because it keeps your attention fragmented, but focus brings calm. When you end a focused session, you feel grounded, centered, and capable. That emotional stability spreads into your conversations, your relationships, and your responses to stress. People around you feel the difference too, which often leads to smoother interactions and fewer conflicts. The positive energy you build in that 1 hour becomes a quiet influence that shapes the entire atmosphere of your day. When 1 hour becomes a daily ritual, it also reshapes your sense of time. You stop feeling like the day controls you and start feeling like you control the day. Instead of thinking there is never enough time, you realize how much can be done with focused effort. That realization removes the pressure of rushing and allows you to move through the rest of your day with calm confidence, knowing that even if everything else becomes chaotic, you have already invested deeply in your growth. The world is moving faster than ever. Technology changes overnight. Information floods every screen, and distractions pull at our minds from the moment we wake up. In this chaos, it's easy to believe that success belongs to those who are the busiest, the loudest, or the most connected. But history shows something different. It shows that the people who shape the future are not the ones who chase everything. They are the ones who choose one thing: and give it everything. The future does not reward scattered effort, it rewards concentrated energy. The future belongs to the focused. Focus has become a rare skill, and rarity creates value. Most people are drowning in distraction, switching between tasks, checking notifications every few minutes, and rarely diving deep into anything. In a world of shallow attention, depth becomes a superpower. The person who can block out noise and give full attention to one problem will always outperform those who are half present in everything. That ability to go deep allows them to see solutions others miss, to develop mastery while others skim the surface, and to create work that stands out because it is rooted in substance rather than speed. Focus creates leverage. One focused person can outproduce dozens of distracted ones because their efforts build on each other. Each day of deep work compounds, while scattered work resets every time. Over months and years, this compounding creates an unbridgeable gap. The focused person becomes the expert, the leader, the innovator, while the distracted ones are still starting over. This is why the future tilts toward focus. Because focus multiplies results, and multiplication always outpaces addition. Focus also accelerates learning. The world is changing so quickly that knowledge ages fast. To stay ahead, you must learn continuously, and continuous learning only happens through focus. Skimming headlines and chasing trends will never build real understanding. But when you give deep, undivided attention to one field, your brain builds strong mental structures that let you absorb new information faster. Each new concept connects to what you already know, and this network of understanding keeps expanding. Those who stay focused build the mental agility to adapt, while those who chase everything struggle to keep up. Focus builds trust in a world full of noise. People are drawn to those who demonstrate depth because depth signals reliability. When you focus, you produce work that is consistent, thoughtful, and meaningful. This builds a reputation, and reputation creates opportunities. Companies, teams, and communities seek people who can deliver, not just start. The focused become known for finishing what they begin, and this trust gives them influence. Influence is the currency of the future, and it flows toward those who are deeply committed, not those who are merely visible. Focus also strengthens resilience. The future will bring uncertainty, competition, and constant change. Distraction makes people fragile because it scatters their energy, leaving them exhausted without progress. Focus builds mental toughness because it teaches you to stay with challenges instead of escaping them. It trains you to work through difficulty, to find answers when things break, and to keep moving when momentum slows. This resilience becomes a competitive advantage when others are giving up or switching paths. The future belongs to the focused because focus turns time into momentum. Every day offers the same 24 hours to everyone, but few people use those hours with intention. Most are busy but not moving forward. The focused turn each hour into a building block that pushes them closer to their vision. Over years, these blocks form something solid. A body of work, a depth of skill, a network of trust, while the distracted have only fragments of unfinished starts. As the world grows louder and faster, the ability to focus becomes the deciding factor that separates those who shape the future from those who are swept away by it. In a world overflowing with distractions, true transformation doesn't come from working longer or doing more. It comes from learning to focus. 1 hour of pure, undisturbed focus each day may seem small, but it carries the power to reshape your mind, your habits, and your future. It is in that single hour that you silence the noise, train your discipline, and build the skills that compound over time. Each focused hour is more than just 60 minutes of effort. It is a daily commitment to your growth. It teaches consistency over intensity, discipline over chaos, and clarity over confusion. It inspires the remaining 23 hours, lifting your confidence, sharpening your thinking, and giving you the energy to move forward with purpose. While others chase everything and move nowhere, the focused quietly build momentum that becomes unstoppable. The world does not reward business. It rewards mastery, and mastery is born from focus. Protect that 1 hour like gold. Guard it fiercely, because over months and years, those single hours will add up, and one day you will look back and see that they did not just change your days, they transformed your entire life.